People are like, who is Danielle Victor? And I'm like, bitch, it's Danny with 2 N's. Am I a fashion blogger? Maybe. Am I a storyteller? For sure. Am I a badass bitch? Absolutely. So if you're smart, you'll subscribe to my channel. Hello everyone! Welcome back to True Crime and Wine Wednesdays. Cheers. Caesar! Caesar! Usually he makes a cameo, but it's actually really late here, so I'm not even going to make him get up. But since we've been talking about lying, cheating, murderous ass husbands, I decided we might keep the momentum going and discuss the Chris Watts case. And this just happened recently, so if none of y'all know what I'm talking about, you don't watch the news, and you probably should, because there's some shit going on in the world that you need to pay attention to, you need to start listening to, and this case and this story is one of them. For anyone that doesn't know, Chris Watts is this psychopath, narcissistic piece of dog shit. Okay? Dog. Actually, you know what? My dog shit is better than this motherfucker. Period. He killed his pregnant wife and his 2 daughters. If that's not a fucking monster, I don't know what is. He is trash. Okay, trash. Like, he's our parents, our family members, our friends' worst nightmare of a guy that we could possibly marry, be in love with, have children with, let alone cross paths with, ever in this world and in existence. Chris Watts and Shanann met in North Carolina. Shanann is his wife, who he murdered along with her 2 children, their 2 children. I would say hers, because she loved her children and would do anything for her children, and he killed them, so her children. They met in North Carolina, they dated for about 2 years, and then they got married in 2012. In 2013, they decided to move to Colorado for job opportunities. I'm not quite sure which one had a job opportunity, but they moved there because one of them did. In 2013, the same year they decided to move to Colorado, they also gave birth to their first child, Bella. Okay, you guys know I'm really bad at pronouncing certain things, so I apologize in advance if I say this incorrectly, but in 2015, Chris started working for this company called Anadarko Petroleum. I might be saying the second word incorrect, petroleum. Pretty sure it's Anadarko Petroleum, but he started working for this company. In July of 2015, they gave birth to their second child. Her name was Celeste, and her nickname was Cece. Close friends of the Watts family describe Chris as being like an introvert, really shy, not really outgoing, and they describe Shanann as outgoing, extroverted, probably like the complete opposite of Chris, but they said that he was a good father, he was always there for the girls. No one had a single doubt or red flag about this scumbag motherfucker. That's the scariest part of it all, is like the worst people. I mean, I'm sure like maybe with behind closed doors, like when you're dating someone or like making love to someone every single night, like I know I ignore red flags sometimes, so who knows if she maybe saw warning signs in her own husband that maybe he was like, maybe not a killer, but like a piece of shit. But like friends, families, people on the outside looking in had no idea that Chris could do such horrible crimes and was always there for his children and his daughters and was like this award-winning father, and he wasn't. And that's the scary part. The way that people can act and fool everyone, including themselves, about the type of people that they are. In May 2018, Shanann found out that she was pregnant with their 3rd child, And I'm gonna go ahead and insert his reaction right here. Go ahead and watch it for a second.
We did it again. I like that shirt. Really?
Really?
That's awesome. So pink means...
That's just the test.
I know. It just says the pink is going to be girls.
I don't know. Just the test.
That's awesome.
Now his reaction, you know, and I've seen so many people post like baby gender reveals and stuff online, and like you see like these guys freaking out and punching walls and like having conniptions about having a daughter instead of a son. And you know, I've even commented on a couple videos like I would never have a baby with someone like that, but it's like obviously you're at the gender reveal, you're about to pop. But his reaction wasn't as bad as some of the reactions I've seen online, but his reaction also wasn't that of someone who was ecstatic that they have another child on the way. It was just kind of like, oh God, and the cameras are there, and you know, people described him as being an introvert, so maybe he doesn't know how to act in front of the cameras, but still, like what, like even when he walked in, he saw the shirt, her t-shirt that said, oops, we did it again. He was just like, did we? And she's like, yeah. Even her kind of like, she seemed so happy at the beginning of that clip, and then towards the end, going off his energy, she just seemed not happy. It's kind of sad, actually. Like her voice just sounds like kind of dull and like dragged out, and because he wasn't excited, her excitement kind of dwindled, and I just kind of felt really bad for her in that moment. But he doesn't seem like an excited guy or a happy guy or thrilled that he has another baby, a third baby on the way. Mind you, keep in mind that, and I don't know if this is true, but I read online that previously the Watts family had filed for bankruptcy. So they probably at some point had money troubles or were currently having money troubles. So if you are in debt or have been in debt before, the thought of having another child, because children are expensive, could have been stressful for him. Immediate stress, whatever the case may have you, he's still a piece of shit. And even if I was dead broke, living in a 2x2 apartment with my man, my husband, the father of my other 2 children, I'm gonna need you to give me a better reaction than that. Period. Okay? Okay, so nosy little neighbors, as we all would be if we lived in, like, you know, a neighborhood where the houses are on top of each other or right across from each other. I remember when I was growing up, I lived in North Andover, Massachusetts, and we lived on this street, and everyone on the street knew everyone on the street, and everyone was in everyone's business, according to, you know, what I overheard when I was a kid, listening to my parents chat about the neighbors, or, you know, people having street parties or block parties and everybody gossiping at the parties. When you live in, you know, an area where people know you, know your family, people get nosy when they're, you know, picking up the newspaper or watering the garden or doing whatever it is that they do. They get nosy. They start looking. They start peeking. They start wondering, you know, what's going on in that household. And neighbors reported that they overheard Chris Watts and Shanann fighting, screaming at each other, even in the driveway of their home. And they were like, maybe that marriage is having some problems. And on June 27th, Shanann took a 6-week vacation back to North Carolina to stay with family. Now, I don't know about y'all, but that doesn't sound like a vacation to me. That sounds like I'm trying to get the away from my husband. I need a break, or he needs a break, or whatever the case may have you. I'm taking me and my daughters and I'm getting the fuck out of Dodge. Because I don't know who would take a 6-week break from their husband and their husband not seeing their children and just have him back at the crib by himself. So, you know, we don't know for sure because we can never ask her, but those actions right there and that long of a break seems like maybe they had marital issues prior to him becoming a slut, and that's what we're about to get into. Because during this 6-week period of her going to visit family and close friends, Chris took it upon himself to become a new bachelor. He became a slut. He decided, you know what, I'm not technically married in my mind. She's away, my children aren't here. I'm gonna live the life that I've been dreaming of having for so long, without kids, without a wife. I'm gonna do whatever the fuck I wanna do with whoever I wanna do it with. Now, he had this coworker, her name was Nicole. And Nicole had her eyes set on Chris, constantly hit on Chris. And during this 6-week period of time, while his wife is away with his 2 children, him and Nicole start this affair. Full-blown, sexual, high-intense relationship. So while his wife is away, she notices a change. And any woman that's been in a relationship and is deeply, madly in love with a guy, children or not, you know when a guy's attitude, mentality, the way he moves, everything about him switches up, changes up, isn't the same. So while she's on this vacation, she notices a complete change in her husband. Sometimes he doesn't text back, sometimes she'll call him, he doesn't answer, or he'll text back the day after or call back the day after. She's noticing a distance between them. He's acting different. He's acting strange. Everything about him screams, I'm probably up to some shit I shouldn't be up to. If it was me and I had a husband and we got into a screaming match the night before I left or the day before I left, and he's not answering my calls or not answering my texts, I'm going to go ahead and assume he's doing some boy shit. So that's probably exactly what she assumed. My husband is a lying, cheating piece of shit while I'm out, you know, taking care of our 2 daughters by myself, pregnant with the 3rd. That's probably what she was going through. And any woman that would be going through that would probably be really upset, hormonal, devastated, and also still in love, probably plotting and planning to try to make it work. So at this point, while Shanann is with her family, not with her husband, she's texting her friends and she's explaining to her friends that, you know, she has worries. Her husband is acting strange. She doesn't know what's going on with Chris. She's scared for the future of this relationship. She doesn't know what's going on, but she knows something is going on. Meanwhile, back at home, Chris is being literally the epitome of trash, going on dates, having sex with his coworker, everything that you would not expect a father or a husband to do. Ever. On July 14th, Chris told Shanann that he did not want to have this baby. He did not want to be in a relationship with her anymore. And, you know, being a woman that's in love and like pregnant with your 3rd child, this is devastating news. Like you can't believe he's even texting this to you or saying this to you. So she suggested marriage counseling. She was like, let's get some help. Let's work on this. He said, no, I want the out of Dodge. I mean, he didn't say it like that, but he was basically like, no, I don't want anything to do with you. I don't want to be with you. I'm not going to go to counseling. I'm not interested. Bye-bye. See you later. So she's freaking out. She's worried, as she should be, because he's trash and he's doing trashy ass things behind her back, but he's not telling her he's doing trashy ass things behind her back, and she just has to sit there in her assumptions and her tears and be stressed out while pregnant, while this guy is saying, I don't want to have this kid, get rid of it, also I don't want to be with you anymore. The worst human being. Before he even committed the murders, he was already like the worst human being on the face of the planet. On July 18th, Nicole, Chris's mistress, co-worker, home-working as, whatever the fuck you want to call this, little girl, badass, fucking trash-ass bitch, and I don't give a shit. I don't care. I hope she watches this video. Fuck you, Nicole. You're trash. You are fucking trash, trash, trash. And I'll tell you again, looking directly in the camera, you're fucking trash. But anyways, on July 18th, she sent Chris a bunch of naked pictures. He like had this hidden folder on his phone where he was transferring all her texts and pictures or whatever she was sending him and hiding them in the folder, so if his wife in fact ever took his phone, she wouldn't be able to find it. And on Google search, when the FBI was investigating him, they came up on the search that he was like looking up vacation spots and rental spots, and he was planning like to have all these trips and all these vacations and all these wonderful moments with his mistress while his wife has a baby on the way. Okay, so later on in the story, we will come to the point where Nicole, Chris's mistress, comes forward to authorities and says, you know, I was having an affair with Chris, and this is what happened, and this is what he said to me, and yada, 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 yada. She comes forward. She says when she comes forward to authorities, later on, we'll get to that she didn't know that he had a wife. She thought that he was getting a divorce. She believed everything he said. She didn't even know that he had a baby on the way. Basically, the most important thing I'm trying to get at before I get to it is that she told authorities that she had no idea he was still married. Is that so, Nicole? Because on July 24th, you Googled, man I'm having an affair with says he'll leave his wife. Okay, I'm sorry, sis. How are you going to tell authorities that you had no idea he was still married, but you're Googling that on July 24th before his wife even went missing? How? Because you're a lying ass bitch. You're a home-wrecking ass. Okay? And you can go fuck yourself. You should be in jail too. That's besides the point. Let's get back to the story. Before all this drama happened, Shanann would post on her Facebook page, because she was very like outgoing online, really active, bubbly, like one of those, you know, internet personalities that likes to post like her children, what they're doing, their vacation pictures, kind of like maybe not as intense as like a YouTuber, but like if I'm on vacation or if I'm with my husband or if I ever have kids, like I'm going to be doing the same shit. A lot of people do the same shit. So she was very active online. And before any of this happened, she would post on her Facebook her picture perfect family. And if I can find anything online from like videos or pictures or whatever she was posting online, I will post it right here. But she would have videos. There was even a video of his daughter singing about how her dad is her hero. It was actually really devastating and heartbreaking. But her videos and her postings and everything online painted her family as picture perfect, happy, no issues, dad of the year, mom of the year, best children to ever be born. Mind you, he's the worst husband and the worst father and the worst person to ever be born on this earth. On July 25th, Chris Googled when to say I love you in a new relationship. He also Googled, what do you feel when someone tells you that they love you? And he also Googled, how does it feel when someone tells you that they love you? Now, I'm a little taken back by this because you are married with a wife, a whole ass wife who's pregnant, and you have 2 children. All 3 of those people have told you every single day of their lives that they love you. So why the f does a normal human being have to Google how to feel emotions? Unless you have no emotions. So this dude has literally so many screws loose. Like he's a, I don't understand. Like I guess for me, I'm like so petrified by these type of people because I don't even understand how someone can Google how to feel love or how to react or how to Google like how am I supposed to feel when someone tells me they love me. You've been getting told for years now that you're loved and that someone loves you. How the f did you feel then, you psychopath? Like, what the f is wrong with this dude? What happened to him in his childhood, or what chemical imbalance is going on in his head? What is wrong with you? I almost want to like go to the jail and like have an interview with him and see if I can record the whole thing. So I'm going to pull out my phone right now because I took screenshots and I will add them in here. But I took screenshots of text messages that Shanann was sending Chris while he's Googling how to feel when his mistress is telling him I love you for the first time. loser. She texted him, I realized during this trip what's missing in our relationship. It's one-way emotions and feelings. I can't come back like this. I need you to meet me halfway. You don't consider others at all, nor think about others' feelings. So he responded, probably, I think I read something like, I love you, I'm sorry. Very short, very brief, non-attentive. She wrote again, I try to give you space, but while you are working and living the bachelor life, I'm carrying our third and fighting with our 2 kids daily and trying to work and make money. She then said, after getting ignored, it's not hard texting love you and miss you. If you don't mean it, then I get it, but we need to talk. I kept looking at my phone all night and no response from you. Like, seriously? Exclamation point. We didn't just start dating yesterday. We've been together 8 years and have 2.5 kids together. So you can tell by those texts that she knows that he's cheating, because she said you're living the bachelor life. And for a woman to say that, she knows that her man is up to no good. But even knowing that he's cheating, you can hear in those texts how desperately she wants to work it out and make it work. And she doesn't want to lose this man that she's been with for almost a decade and has 2 children and 1 on the way with. And you could see that she desperately doesn't want to let him go or let him slip away, or, you know, divorce can't happen. And being a single mother could be horrifying for someone that's had, you know, a husband by her side for all these years. And you can see that she's trying, and then back home, Chris is just doing the damn thing. Probably not even reading her text, or shaking his head, or ignoring her right before he gets his dick sucked, or, you know, gets more naked pictures from his dumbass coworker. Like, both those people can rot in hell. Him and his dumbass mistress. And all you mistresses out there, on July 28th, Chris and Nicole, his mistress, go on a vacation to the sand dunes. They take pictures, they're having a grand old time, they spend the night. I will insert some pictures of their stupid ass trip here. On July 31st, Chris hops on a flight. He goes to North Carolina to see his wife and kids. Her family reports that he was weird, he was distant, he wasn't affectionate, he literally wouldn't even hug his own wife. They could tell something was off. And of course, his wife was like, what in the actual is going on? You fly here, you don't give me attention, you're being weird, you're being distant, you won't talk to me, you won't even hug me. What is going on? What's happening? Please say something. You're my husband. Let's at least talk about it. And Chris just had like no interest in talking to her at all. He was completely checked out and completely checked in to Hotel Nicole, his dumbass mistress. I'm going to keep referring to her as that the entire video and for the rest of time. So check this out. On August 4th, Nicole, his mistress, Googled wedding dresses. First of all, homegirl, you haven't even been dating or f***ing this man long enough to be looking at wedding dresses, you dumbass. She also Googled Chris Watts and Shanann Watts, even though she claimed to authorities that she didn't know his wife's name for a very long time and had no idea that they were still involved with each other or had a baby on the way. Technology is advanced, all right? Anytime I meet a guy or I start talking to a guy, I'm looking up all the 411. I'm gonna know if he's married, has kids, has a baby on the way. I damn near might even know his social security number by the time I'm done creeping. So I'm not even gonna sit here for 1 second, 1 second, and believe this chick's lies that she didn't know he was married or had a kid on the way. You're even caught on August 4th Googling wedding dresses and then Googling his goddamn wife's name. You psycho. You pathetic loser. He still has a ring on his wife's finger and you're looking at wedding dresses? You sick. That means him and her must have had a conversation about getting married. No female on this planet, unless you're like literally a walking Lifetime movie, which there I guess there are plenty of people like that, are Googling wedding dresses. There's no way. I've been in love with some dudes, like crazy about some dudes, and never once have I looked up wedding dresses or wedding rings. None of that bullshit. And guys want to say I'm crazy? Scared? Nah, dude. Nah, dude. There's some crazy like this, Nicole. Don't ever call me crazy again. Okay? Thank you. Thank you so much. So on August 8th, Shanann's friend texted her and said, yo, I heard that, like, you know, I'll put the text message right here so you can see, like, the actual text messages. But lo and behold, long story short, she was basically saying, I heard you canceled the baby gender reveal party. What's going on? What's happening? And she's explaining to her friend that, you know, Chris wants nothing to do with me. He says we're not compatible anymore. Her friend's, like, apologizing and apologetic, and I'm here for you if you ever need me. And then she texts Shanann again and says, are you and the kids okay? Obviously at this point she doesn't respond, because at this point her and her children have been murdered. On this same day, August 8th, his mistress Nicole was Googling marrying your mistress, but you told authorities you didn't know he was still married. You lying ass, scandalous ass. Like, I just want to, like, meet this so I could just, like, have you guys ever seen the movie What Happens in Vegas? At the end of the movie where they just show up at Cameron Diaz's ex-fiance's apartment, punch him in the fucking ball sack and say, and he's like, why? And they're like, you know why. If I can get a clip and it's not copywritten, I'll insert in here. I'll insert it right here. But, like, I literally just want someone to show up to this chick's place, punch her in the vagina, and just, when she screams why, be like, you know why, you mistress ass. Hope you're single for the rest of your goddamn life. You should be in jail too. She probably convinced this motherfucker to kill his family. Dead ass. When I'm doing my research and I'm, like, you know, looking in on this and, like, reading all this shit, I literally think that she probably got in this dude's head and, like, convinced him without really saying it. Like, maybe it would be so easy if your family was, like, not here anymore. Then it could just be you and I, and we can get married and we can have our own kids. And you want to marry a dude that has the ability and the capability of whacking his wife and his 2 children, you sick f***. Oh, the story gets me so angry. Like, beyond angry. Like, this bitch has me and America fucked up. Like, you have us fucked up. We see right through you and your lies. Shanann finds out that she's having a boy. She planned on calling him Nico. Even though the gender reveal was canceled, she was still like, you know, I'm having a boy. I want his name to be Nico. On August 9th, her and a coworker flew to Arizona. Her coworker's name is also Nicole. I'm going to call her Nick during this so we don't confuse the 2 Nicoles. But her and her coworker, Nick, female, really Nicole. Stay with me, people. Are you keeping up? Okay, great. Nicole equals Nick. Nick is Shanann's co-worker, but they fly to Arizona for a business conference, meeting conference, whatever. Nick describes that during the business trip, Shanann was very upset. She was distraught. She was stressed. She was not her normal happy self. Granted, I wouldn't be my normal happy self if I was going through what she was going through, feeling what she was feeling, and as distraught as she probably was. So, granted, she had every right to feel and behave the way she was feeling. So I'm going to insert this here, but on August 9th, Chris sent Shanann a text of one of their daughters wrapped in, like, a blanket, or I'm not quite sure. I'll put the picture here. The only reason I'm putting this is kind of cryptic because people were saying in, like, articles and, like, speculations, and you know how people do when it has anything to do with crime. They were saying, was he, like, trying to hint to her, like, this is your, like, future, this is what I'm gonna do to y'all, like, what was he saying with this picture? And even when you look at the picture, it doesn't even look, like, real. It looks like, I have goosebumps, look at that. Literally goosebumps up and down my arm. Oh my god, every time I film these. Even in the picture that he sent to his wife, one of his daughters, the legs look like doll legs. They don't even look real. They look fake. And people were saying online and that, you know, he was sending her like a message and like basically giving her a warning, and what did he mean by that? And then he posted it on Facebook, and I think she commented on Facebook like, I'm not really sure how to take that, as like neither do any of us, because we're still super confused. And I'm actually kind of confused that that question didn't come up in interrogations or later on in a confession. It's why I should probably go in there and interview him, because I'll just ask him like everything on the face of the planet down to the nitty gritty. Like, why the did you take that weird ass picture and send it to your wife and then post it on Facebook? You sick. On August 10th, Chris asked their neighbor if their daughter could watch the two girls, his daughters, while he went to go see a baseball game. He wasn't going to see no baseball game. He went to go see his bitch. They went on a date, whatever the f they did on August 10th. So on August 13th, Shanann and her coworker Nick are flying home, but their flight gets delayed. She was supposed to get in around 11. She didn't get in till I think after 1. She ended up getting home at 1:48 in the morning. Her coworker Nick dropped her off at home at 1:48 in the morning, and that was the last time anyone saw Shanann alive. He makes a gripping, brutal confession later on after he's sentenced to life and he has an interview in prison, and I'll get to that later. But at this point, we don't know what happened, but a neighbor had security cameras outside of their door, which caught Chris reversing his truck into the driveway and taking 3 trips and loading stuff onto his truck. But his neighbor gave authorities that camera footage, and if you're making 3 trips, that seems like you know what I mean? 3 people in your household are missing. You're making 3 trips to load your truck, and then he's seen driving off. This is around 5:30 in the morning. At 8:30 in the morning that day, Chris calls the girls' school, and he says the girls will no longer be attending. He doesn't say, you know, they're taking a little break. They're not coming in this week. They're not coming in today. He says they'll no longer be attending school. That sounds like a man that knows that he just killed his daughters, and hey, they're not coming back because, you know, I killed them. So I don't know if he was paying tuition. I don't know what was going on. I don't know much about the school, but I do know that he called the school. He told them that the girls will no longer ever be coming back. They will no longer be in attendance. Not for 1 day, not for 2 days, not for 3 days, not for 4 days, but indefinitely no longer coming into school. Okay, so Nick, Shanann's coworker, sent Shanann a text message in the morning checking on her because she knew she had a doctor's appointment that day and she wasn't feeling well on the trip, and you know, she's pregnant with a child. She didn't get a response. So Nick and her son drive over to the Watts family household residence, and she tries to get into the front door, and they had like an alarm system, and when the alarm system went off, it texted Chris. And so she texted him and said, I'm really worried. I haven't heard from her. She has a doctor's appointment today. Like, I just want to know what's going on. Like, have you heard? Like, what's going on? Tell me. And Chris tells her, like, you know, I haven't really talked to her. I know she had a play date. Play date? Shouldn't the girls be in school? But okay. So he said that he knew that, you know, she mentioned some type of play date. So Nick goes to the garage and creeps and sees Shanann's car with the 2 car seats in it. And in her mind, she's like, well, how can she go anywhere and how can she be on a play date if her car's here with the 2 car seats? She's not going to go anywhere. She's not going to walk her kids to a play date or drive somewhere without a car seat, and then her car's in the driveway. So like, did somebody pick her up? Where is she at? So she went back to the front door and tried to get back in, which set off the alarm. So Chris called her and said, you need to get off my property immediately. And Nick, her friend, her coworker, said, I'm going to call the cops. I'm really worried, blah, 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 blah. And Chris was adamant. He's like, do not call the cops. Do not get them involved. After she hangs up with Chris, she immediately calls Shanann's doctor's office and confirms that what she already knew, that Shanann did not show up to her doctor's appointment. So as soon as she hangs up with them, she calls the police and asks them to do a welfare check. She's like, please, I haven't heard from my friend. She has 2 children. She's pregnant with a 3rd. They're not at home. She's not answering her texts. Her husband is saying he doesn't know where she's at. Please check on them. Chris ends up heading home because Nicole lets him know, like, I called the cops. They're on their way. They're going to do a welfare check. So he goes and he wants to, like, be present and at home. So there's actually footage, I'll insert some here, where the cops show up and they're looking around the house and nothing seems to be out of the ordinary. Nothing is out of place. Her bag is there, her keys are there, the car is there, the car seats are there. Nothing is missing. Even her cell phone. Her friend, her coworker, Nicole, found her cell phone in the cushions of the couch. Really? You're gonna hide her cell phone in the cushions of the couch? Really, guy? Idiot. So nothing was missing except for his wife and his 2 daughters. And also, bed sheets were missing. The bed sheets from the girls' room and the main sheet from the master bedroom was missing. Where did your sheets go, bro? You clearly didn't have a burglar. You did not have a burglar, because no one's just gonna steal in 3 sheets. It's not happening. It's just not happening.
Did you tell your mother-in-law that she went to a friend's today? Mm-hmm. Yeah? What friend?
I went to a friend's house, but that's all I knew.
Who was she supposed to go to?
That's all she told me. She said she's going to a friend's house to take the kids.
When did she tell you that?
This morning, when we were talking to about 4 and 5 o'clock.
The stuff she had last night.
Yep.
What's this is?
Oh, that's just some Antarctica stuff.
Is that your stuff?
Yeah, that's the stuff I was going to give to people because they don't fit me anymore.
Oh, these are your jeans?
Yeah, it was like 38s. They're way too big now.
Okay, well, give us a call, anybody, if you hear anything from her. Otherwise, I'm going to start putting together, just in case we need to pull the trigger for a missing person. Yeah, I'm going to try to run some things down using her phone, and then see if we can't find somebody. If nobody's heard anything at all, then we'll probably pull the trigger a little bit quicker. Go that route, so. I mean, you can do that now. You know, there's no reason. I mean, as far as like walking through fields and stuff like that, I don't know. I mean, like a hospital. You can do that now. If you guys want to start that, there's no reason you can do that right now. Okay. Absolutely. So, but the other things I'm going to do is a little more detail as far as digging into friends and addresses and things like that. But by all means, you have to want to call hospitals and hotels even, see if she's checked in anywhere, whatever. But all right, I'll start with the friends list of maybe friends either one of you know about. So
I called everybody that I know that she would call and talk to.
Okay. All right.
Did she have one of those numbers?
Yeah. I've got some of these. Okay. Want to talk before we go?
What about bank account checking into that? Do we need account numbers or anything, or have him call?
Yeah, find any credit cards. That's why I was asking about the credit cards, if there are any missing, but none of yours are missing either.
Cash? She usually carry cash with her, or no?
Cash I never yesterday,
Still in there.
Okay.
Because I paid her for the hotel because I'm providing and I paid her the passport.
Okay. Okay.
Investigators asked Chris, like, did you see your wife? Did you talk to your wife? And he said that, she got home late and they had a discussion and they talked about their relationship and she was upset and he was upset. And then he left for work around 5:30. Originally, Shanann's mother told Chris not to do an interview with the news because local news wanted to interview him, try to get, some traction, help him try to find his wife and children. Originally, her mother told him not to do the interview because usually the media points a bad finger or points the finger directly at the husband, and she didn't want the media to paint him in a bad light or point a finger at him. I mean, I just did a video on the Scott Peterson case, and it was basically it basically screamed, I did it, I'm fucking guilty, because of how he acted on the media or how he avoided the media. And you would think, point blank period, I think it's a little weird that her mother suggested that at all. I mean, if my daughter was missing, I would never in a million years tell her husband not to go on the news. That would just never be advice that I would give. But after reading this case and the Scott Peterson case, you can tell a lot by someone's demeanor. And when Chris did his interview, I will literally put some of it here as well.
And this might be a tough question, but did you guys get into an argument before she left?
It wasn't like an argument. We had an emotional conversation, but I'll leave it at that. But I just want them back. I just want them to come back. And if they're not safe right now, that's what's tearing me apart. Because if they are safe, they're coming back. But if they're not, this has got to stop. Like, somebody has to come forward.
Your neighbors, did they see anything? Did your neighbors see anything?
No, like the police department went door to door asking, like, cameras and everything, just like nothing.
And my last question, if you have any of them, so feel free to step in. My last question is, if your wife can see this, if she can watch these, what would you like to tell your wife and your kids?
Shanann, Bella, Celeste, if you're out there, just come back. Like, if somebody has her, just please bring her back. I need to see everybody. I need to see everybody again. This house is not complete without anybody here. Please bring her back.
That's it. I can take that mic off you.
He's like smirking at one point. He's like smiling at one point. It almost seems like he wants to laugh, but he's not. Like, his demeanor is extremely bizarre. And if I'm a viewer, or I'm her family, or I'm close friends, or I'm relatives, if I saw his interview and his demeanor, I'd be like, yep, this motherfucker killed all of them. Let's get this motherfucker, let's torch his ass. Because his interview just screamed from beginning to end, like, I don't care. I'm gonna pretend I want them to come home. Like, yes, please, come home. Yeah, I miss you. No emotion whatsoever. Didn't shed a single tear. Didn't look stressed. Didn't look adamant. Again, just like I said in the Scott Peterson video, if I'm in love and I have a husband that loves me and cares for me, I need him banging down every motherfucking door, talking to every body, asking where the fuck I am. And if he ain't doing that, he did it. Period. And Chris, who's old enough to have witnessed the Scott Peterson case, should have known you can't get away with murdering your wife, unborn child, and your 2 children that already exist. You can't. And you won't. But he's an idiot. Let's continue. So after the cops originally went to Chris Watts' house, Chris got on the phone and he had a 51-minute conversation with his mistress, Nicole. What the fuck are you and your mistress talking about for 51 minutes? If I had to guess, if I was a little fly in the room and I had to predict what these 2 low-life pieces of were talking about, he probably confessed to her about what happened. Even though in my mind, if I'm reading all these notes and, reading all these articles and watching all these videos, she probably sat there and put a bug in his mind and knew probably what he intended on doing. So I'm thinking if they have a 51-minute phone conversation, he probably confessed her, told her what he did, told her where the bodies were, and she's probably like telling him, delete text messages off your phone, I don't want to be involved, like, I don't want the cops coming to me, delete, delete, delete. So that same day that she had this 51-minute conversation with Chris, authorities checked her Google search and she Googled his wife's name, and she also Googled, can cops trace deleted text messages? Yes, they can. What do you think? And if that doesn't seem suspect to anyone watching, I don't know what is. If this chick is not as guilty as this man, I don't know what is. Okay, yeah, she's not guilty of, like, committing the murders or helping him bury the bodies, but she's guilty of something. Something is there. What happened on that 51-minute phone conversation? I want to know. Authorities tell Chris that he's a suspect. And, you know, he denies having an affair. He said that Shanann was probably the one having an affair. Can you even believe the audacity? That's when you know this motherfucker is narcissistic. He's like literally trying to blame his wife he just murdered on the infidelities in their relationship. It's just crazy to me. So they ask him if he'll take a polygraph test. He actually complies to taking a polygraph test. He fails the polygraph test. Does not pass that shit, not with flying colors, not at all. So they let him know he fails the polygraph test. So he confesses to strangling Shanann, his wife, after he witnessed on the baby monitors her strangling his 2 daughters. So this was his original confession. So basically he said in a fit of rage that he witnessed his wife killing his children. He killed her in return in the same way that she had killed their 2 beautiful daughters. So at this point, Chris is already a suspect. So they were doing a drone search above Chris's workplace, like the oil and tank area where Chris worked. And while they're doing this drone search, they caught on their drone an image and a view of bed sheets. Bed sheets spotted on the drone had the same pattern that was in the Watts home. During this drone search, they also like spotted dirt movement, like dirt had like recently been moved. In this case, he dug and, you know, buried his wife in a grave. So he in fact did move dirt, and they spotted that on the drone. So later that day on the 15th, Chris Watts is in fact arrested on August 15th on suspicion of 3 counts of felony murder, because he's telling everybody that he killed his wife out of rage for killing their 2 children. But at this point, no one believes him, not even authorities, not me, not you, not anybody that was tuning into the story. So also on August 15th, Shanann's body was recovered in a shallow grave on Chris's worksite. His 2 daughters were then discovered in 2 oil tanks close to their mother's grave. So while all of this is happening, another one of Chris's coworkers found emails between Nicole and Chris confirming their affair, and he planned on bringing this to authorities for evidence. But coincidentally, at the same exact time, Nicole comes forward to authorities saying that she did have an affair with him. She had no idea that he was still married, yada 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 bullshit. Okay, bull mother bull. So, authorities found while researching Nicole's computers for evidence, his mistress, she Googled Amber Fry. She Googled Amber Fry's book. She Googled how much money she made off her book. She Googled Amber Fry's net worth, and she Googled, do people hate Amber Fry? And for anyone who has no idea who Amber Fry is and didn't watch my last true crime video, that was Scott Peterson's mistress. Amber Fry is the reason Scott Peterson killed his wife and unborn child. Now we have this chick, Nicole, who claims she had no idea, no clue that Chris Watts was still married or had a baby on the way or had any idea that he could commit such a crime. Was Googling Scott Peterson's mistress and her net worth and if people hated her. No, you know why no one hated Amber Fry? Because she didn't lie and she literally had no clue that Scott was married. You know why people probably hate you, Nicole? Because you probably wanted him to kill her so you can make an Amber Fry book deal and become rich and famous and talked about in tabloids. It didn't work out for you though, did it, Nicole? Did it? You piece of trash. As his wife and his daughter's bodies are being, you know, recovered, she's Googling how she can make profit off the family's pain, off the loss of these beautiful people. This chick is sick. On August 20th, Chris Watts was charged with 9 different charges. 3 counts of first-degree murder, 3 counts of trying to tamper with, like moving a body, tampering with evidence, and 1 count of unlawful termination of a pregnancy. So while his wife was still alive, he was secretly giving her oxycodone behind her back without her knowledge, so that she would have a miscarriage and her pregnancy would be terminated. He is disgusting. He's literally the devil. Like the devil. Devil. D-E-V-I-L. He's the devil. He decides to take a plea deal where he confesses to all 3 murders to avoid the death penalty. Now for me, I feel like there was enough evidence for him not to have like a solid confession to the 2 daughters' killing. I believe this guy deserves the death penalty. I don't think that he deserves to even sit in a jail cell. And even if he does, I'm very shocked he hasn't been, you know, taken out, because I heard that child killers or people that hurt children in jail are like the #1 target. Like, they don't last very long. So I'm actually kind of shocked that someone in jail hasn't like just taken this dude out. But I think he should have gotten the death penalty, but lo and behold, he took a plea deal. He got sentenced to 3 life sentences, including an additional 84 years. I mean, he's never getting the out ever, but still, like, can you imagine? Like, he killed his whole family to start fresh and start new, and now you're like literally sitting in a jail cell for the rest of time. Like, I just don't understand what these men are thinking, and I've done only 2 of these stories, actually 3 of these stories so far. 4 of these stories, actually, on my 4th one. But 3 out of the 4, these are all white men that committed these heinous crimes. All white men. And I don't know about y'all, but if I ever get with a white guy ever again, I'm probably gonna be like, even if you trust them, they be coming out the woodwork. Like, I just don't get it. If you don't want to be with someone anymore, divorce them. You're not gonna get away with murder, dude. Ever. You thought you were gonna literally wrap your wife and your kids in a sheet, bury them at your job, and then go have fun with your girlfriend? What the f is wrong with you, my dude? Even if you say it out loud, how does that make sense to him? And the only reason it can is if he's nuts, which he was. And nobody had a clue. No one around him had a clue that he was capable of this type of nutty ass bullshit. So after his arrest and while he's in jail, he decides to have an interview, and he makes full-blown confessions about what happened, and his confessions are quite brutal. Even saying them out loud is going to be a little brutal for me, but he confessed to what actually happened that night on August 13th when his wife came home. So he confessed that for weeks before he committed the murders that he was thinking of killing his wife. He wanted to start fresh. He wanted to be single. He definitely didn't want to have another kid. So for weeks he was thinking and planning on how, when, where he could kill his wife. So I'm just going to read this quote. This is what he said in the interview. It's on my phone. I'm just going to read it really quick, this quote that he said during an interview. He said, "I knew if I took my hands off her, she would still keep me from Nikki," Nikki being his mistress. "They asked me why she couldn't fight back. It's because she couldn't fight back. Her eyes filled with blood as she looked at me and died." And that's what Chris Watts said in his interview about how he killed his wife and what she did in her last and final moments. And then he said that his daughters did not witness him killing her, but his daughter Belle walked into the room while he was wrapping his wife in a bedsheet, and she asked him, "What are you doing with mommy?" He then stuck his wife's body in his truck, put his daughters in the back seat. They drove for 45 minutes to his work site. When they got to his work site, he used Celeste, one of his daughter's favorite blanket, to smother her to death. And then his daughter Belle pleaded with him as she's witnessing all of that. Like, she knows her mom is dead, and then she sees her dad, you know, smother her sister to death, and she pleaded with him and said, please, Daddy, don't do to me what you just did to Cece. And then he proceeded to kill her. Just like goosebumps, like straight up. It's just like so sickening to me. And then he said that he put their bodies in oil tanks. And then he left. So that was his confession that he made after he was already in prison, about how each and every single one of the murders took place. And it's so disgusting and heartbreaking and alarming, and I just don't have any words. I just have goosebumps, and I just feel so bad. Like, his wife was already previously married, and then she met this guy and probably thought he was a dream come true. You know, had 2 children with him, had a third child on the way, and then, you know, he meets this chick who acted like she didn't even know he was in a relationship or still married, and she thought he was divorced already, who was completely full of shit. I just don't understand, and I want you guys to comment below. How did she possibly not get in trouble? How did she possibly not get in trouble for saying all these lies when clearly her Google searches proved that everything she said was a lie? This story is horrible. Everything about it is horrible. Everyone involved, Nicole, Chris, are horrible. I pray for her family. I pray for her poor, beautiful children, her unborn child and her 2 beautiful daughters, and especially the daughter who witnessed everything and probably knew it was coming, but like, what are little girls gonna do to protect themselves from a grown man? There's nothing you can do. You just have to accept your fate, and that is the worst part of this entire story. So, as I always say, hug your loved ones close, pay attention to who you're dating, who you're surrounding, and if a man tells you he wants to leave, let that mother leave. Let him leave. And these stories, especially the relationship ones, I'm like, this dude. She was with that man for 8 years, had 2 of his children, and was pregnant with his 3rd, and he murdered her in cold blood. So scary. Anyways, give this video a thumbs up or a thumbs down, but as I always say, if you're giving it a thumbs down, you probably shouldn't be on this channel, but if you are going to be here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Also hit the bell, because if you don't hit the bell, you don't get notifications. I will be doing a true crime, conspiracy theory, I don't know, whatever's in that category, every Wednesday. I am going to say in every video, please do not comment what cases you want me to cover or what conspiracy theories you want me to cover. It's hard for me to keep up with the comments. I have an email below. Please email me a suggestion. If, you know, my inbox is super full, but if it's a good case, an interesting case for me, I will definitely 110% do it. These videos aren't well watched on my page yet, and because a lot of my subscribers aren't true crime fans, but I'm a true crime fan. I hope some of you are true crime fans, so we're gonna be true crime fans together. This isn't about views. This is about literally, it's almost like awareness of how fucked up the world is, and a reality check of like how like even the person right next to you, the person you've laid next to, talked to, the person you think is your best friend, could be like a monster, a straight up monster. And it's just kind of a reality check that not everything that glitters is gold. Not every picture that's painted is real. It could be an illusion, and it's an eye-opener, to say the least. So anyways, follow me on Instagram, XXODanielle, Swallow It Podcast for my podcast, The Official Victor Twins for me and my twin sister, and Little Caesar the Frenchie for my little baby. He posts really cute pics. I really want more people to follow him, so please follow him. And subscribe to my OnlyFans, onlyfans.com/XXODanielle. And I love you guys to the moon and back. Thank you so much for tuning in. Till next time, I'll see you on True Crime and Wine next Wednesday.